Welcome to this edition of Overreaction Monday, brought to you by our friends at Game Time, the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. Good to see you over there, Chris
Rich,
Brockman.
I'm great.
You're going to use that
man?
promo code of Overreaction to get $20 off your first purchase?
I am.
Sure.
There's some bowl games coming up I might want to go to.
Okay. That's good to know.
Know what I mean?
The field is set. Are you
Field
having?
is set.
Is that part of Overreaction Monday?
I do have one college topic.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then another topic that's
Okay.
interesting to you and me.
The field of 12 is set.
Field of 12 is set.
I like it.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
I'll say this on the flagship show as well. I think I texted it to the group too. Arizona State and Oregon winning the Big 12
Right.
and the Big 10 in their first years doing it is the most Pac-12 thing ever.
Yes. Yes.
Overreaction or not?
No, not.
What's the most Pac-12 thing ever?
No.
Let's break up.
Let's break. And then all
Let's
of our
send
other teams will
Arizona
go out.
State to the Big 12
Yeah.
and Oregon to the Big 10. And instead of having two Pac-12 teams in the college football
in the
playoffs
playoff.
with a tremendous amount of steam.
Well, Oregon,
for
they
the
would have
conference,
had 3 maybe.
Right? Well, Oregon and Arizona State, right?
Jeez.
Instead, they win the Big 12 and they win the Big 10.
It's unreal.
And that's the most Pac-12 thing ever. That said, it's time for Overreaction Monday. Hit it. Go ahead.
That was terrible.
That was crap. That was garbage. This place sucks.
Overreaction Monday.
That's right. And by the way, the CFP leader, Ward Manuel, the athletic director of the University of Michigan, will be on the flagship show Monday. So check that out on the podcast version of the show.
Can't wait.
All right, what do you have over there, Christopher?
Rich, it was by Mageddon. A lot of big names and big teams were not playing in Week 14, but there were still a couple of awesome games. First and foremost, the one right down the street here at SoFi.
Rams
what a
and
contest,
Bills, right?
Man. Hey, Josh Allen is Superman, Rich, but the Bills' defense isn't good enough to go to Arrowhead and win the AFC.
Well, it was good enough to win against the Chiefs in the in the regular season matchup in Buffalo. So you're saying it's
not good enough to go on the road because they're going to have to go to Arrowhead and win the AFC. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough.
Well,
I don't care what version of the Chiefs that we have. This one that can't score more than 20 points, or a Rams team. Man, they put up.
Well, the Rams. Here's the deal, man. The Rams, and this is why I chose the Rams to win the NFC West, even though the Seahawks are a game in front of them right now, because the Seahawks have played some really good football over the last month to take the lead in the NFC West into the final quarter of the season here. There are a few teams that can field Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp.
We're going to talk about them a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will then put a pin in that.
Yeah.
And just say this is an overreaction. That the Bills, though, what is not an overreaction is you to say that the Bills are going to have to go to Arrowhead to make the Super Bowl.
It seems like they're going to have to, yeah.
Or, unless somehow somebody knocks the Chiefs off, because the Bills should be the 2 seed or the 3 seed if the Steelers somehow overtake them, because they now have the same record.
Right.
And so somebody is going to win a wild card weekend game and go in Arrowhead and be that team to one and done them. It won't be the Bills and it won't be the Steelers. It's going to have to be somebody seeded 4 through 7 to do that.
Correct.
And right now, that would be the Texans, Ravens, Chargers, or Broncos, unless the Colts or Dolphins somehow come from the depths of 6 and 7 to overtake one of the 3 8 and 5 teams in the AFC wild card positions right now.
And the thing is, those 5, 6, 7 teams, they've proven it. They're all good enough to beat the Chiefs.
Well, in Arrowhead.
They've
three of them just proven it.
Been so close.
Correct.
Razor's edge, so they can do it.
The crazy thing is, if you had to choose between Houston and the 3 current wild card teams to be the ones, which ones are the most likely, if you had to rank them 1 through 4 to go into Arrowhead in a divisional weekend and win a divisional one and done game against a bye-weeking Kansas City Chiefs, you'd choose all 3 of the wild card teams and put the Texans 4.
Yes,
you'd have an argument as to how you would rate and rank the other 3 wild card teams.
Correct.
So we're taking it one piece at a time. Yes, I don't think it's an overreaction to say that Josh Allen is not going to have to go into Arrowhead. But to say that the Bills defense would not be good enough on that day, I can't sit here and say that right now. Just based off of yesterday.
I know Matt the Rams but I don't like what I saw yesterday. I know the Rams are faster and more explosive than Kansas City on offense right now.
With the exception of tight end. With the exception of tight end.
I know, but Kelsey's not moving around very fast. Are you talking about Noah Gray? Noah Gray.
Excuse me.
About, right?
Except for tight end. And do you have a Chiefs category here, or is this the only Chiefs category?
No, this is the only one.
So let me just say
this: the Chiefs.
The perfect example of it doesn't matter about how lucky you think the Chiefs are. When it comes down to it, Chris,
they are lucky.
When it comes down to it,
I don't know how you doink it and then have it graze over the crossbar and not think that's luck,
and not come back into the field of play and you lose.
Yeah,
okay,
I mean,
fine. No matter how lucky you say that they are, and they have been very lucky. Okay, that said, when it comes down to it, and it's third down, and you need to convert to make sure you have a field goal, doink or not, with no time left to win it, and you're trying to assure yourself of that result alone, okay? Mm-hmm. Mahomes to Kelsey.
Well, we knew that.
Unstoppable.
We knew that was happening.
We knew it.
It was stoppable. We knew it. If Zero wraps his arms, Mahomes is sacked, and then, it's fourth down.
But he didn't.
That's luck, though.
But he didn't.
Like, that is not.
But he didn't.
That had nothing to do with Kelsey getting open.
Or Mahomes is always that elusive.
Oh, come on. He's like the slowest guy on the field.
And yet he's always looks the slowest guy in the field, and then he comes up with the first down.
I know.
Even when he's overcoming a high ankle sprain in the Super Bowl.
I know.
Bro.
I know.
Come on. You got to give it up, is what I'm saying.
Well, when Harbaugh burned the timeout, you knew that
you got to give it up. You got to give it up, is all I'm saying. Of
course.
And in that regard, though, I'm still pushing back on this as an overreaction to say that the Bills' defense on that day,
I know,
you can't say has no shot to show up and eliminate the Chiefs just because of what we saw in a Week 14, pinball machine of a game on tilt in SoFi. So that's my somewhat nuanced way of handling the first item up for bids here on this Overreaction Monday pod.
Look at you. Let's go to your other Super Bowl team. I want to go all the way back to Thursday and say this. Dan Campbell's recklessness is going to cost the Lions a Super Bowl again.
It's so tough to sit here and say that is going to happen, and for sure, I don't blame you for saying this. I don't blame you for saying it.
I like that he's consistent.
Of the 4 fourth down attempts, of the 5 on Thursday night, the 4 that he made, I thought were worth the shot. The one that he didn't is the one that leads you to give me this Overreaction Monday subject matter.
Well, and because we just saw it in the NFC Championship game last year.
On his own 31, up 3, late third quarter. There's no need to do that. There's no need to do that other than the fact of just being over aggressive. And there needs to be some football angel on that man's shoulder that needs to tell him in those situations where it's not, okay, we refuse to settle for a field goal here. And if we don't make it, the other team's got to go 99, 98, 97 yards.
Sure.
He did that twice. Okay, Tim Patrick scored once. Jahmyr Gibbs scored another time. It's so rare to see 2 fourth down decisions lead to touchdowns in the same game.
Right.
And it's the second time Dan Campbell's had that as a result this year. And I think I mentioned on the flagship show Friday, the last team to do that, multiple games in which multiple fourth down decisions to go for it wound up with scores, touchdowns, with the 2010 Dallas Cowboys, which, is not the result you want, because the guy who did it was Jason Garrett as the interim head coach because they'd already fired Wade Phillips. They did finish 5-3. That said, the other fourth down decisions that he went for, including the one at the end, I got that one too, man. That one I got. Well, it's similar to what Andy Reid was attempting to do last night, which is like, this is the way to get down to the very nub of the clock, kick a field goal, and don't leave anything up to chance, certainly when you've got 13 defenders on IR.
So close to not working, though. Goff gets his foot stepped on. If there's a guy right there to touch him,
but
suddenly.
If not, though, it's still a tie game.
Still tie game.
It's still a tie game.
But they might.
The one, though, going for it in your own end, and that led to you losing the lead and giving Josh Jacobs a third touchdown on the day.
Yeah.
That's the reckless one, that if he chooses to do that at the time of a game where it's do or die and there's not another quarter to go, where you can make up for that decision, that's when it might cost them the Super Bowl again. To say that that's definitely going to happen, I'll call this an overreaction. But I totally understand why anybody's saying it. I totally get why you're saying it. That one where they didn't get it, this is not 2020 hindsight. Oh, I told you so.
Right.
Even if he had made it,
that still would have been an insane
I'd
call.
have been like, why are you doing that? You don't need to do that.
Right.
Punt, live for another day, make them go the full field to take the lead, not 31 yards.
He is who he is.
That's true. He is definitely
That's fun.
who
It
he
makes
is.
it entertaining, but you hate to see it cost them the big one.
What else?
A team we never talk about, even though they're balling. What are they, 11-2 now? The Minnesota Vikings, Rich?
Yeah.
Whew, Sam Darnold's back in the MVP conversation.
No, he's not.
He's going to be top 5.
And he deserves that. The MVP's down to 2 guys. And I think
MVP's down to 1 guy, really.
I even though he lost yesterday.
Yeah, but he was on otherworldly
Josh
Allen.
Allen,
Okay,
correct.
but the Vikings, Rich, they should make Sam Darnold their quarterback of the future. Trade JJ McCarthy to a needy team.
I say this with the ultimate of love and respect.
Wait, for me or JJ McCarthy?
I say this with the ultimate of love and respect. But you know how I feel about this kid. I don't think this is an overreaction. I don't think it's an overreaction. And I think the Vikings got to think about it.
How are you going to let Sam Darnold walk after the year he's having right now?
I do need to see how it finishes up.
Okay. You still need to see more?
Which means that this is, of course, you need to see what happens when the game's on the line, with the season's on the line. But I mean, for him
too.
But I get it. I understand that.
Okay.
You're and I'll push back here. You're the guy like Dak. Don't pay him $60 million. Don't pay him $60 million. Don't do it. And the reason why you pay him the $60 million is because he had 3 straight years of 12-win seasons.
Right. I think I'd rather have Sam Darnold than Dak.
Well, I mean, he's certainly the healthy quarterback, and he's definitely a guy who is the best version of himself, and he's gone through whatever growing pains or maturity or whatever that he needed to do in his 3 previous stops. Just because he was bouncing around in his 3 previous stops doesn't mean he's not worth having as the guy right now. And just look at Baker Mayfield in Tampa.
Geno Smith. I mean, you can blossom later in your life, if you don't pan out right away.
Or you just sign Sam to that deal that the Bucs just signed Baker to.
Or the Daniel Jones deal.
And then you turn McCarthy into your Jordan Love, because McCarthy's a young kid, man.
Yeah.
He's 21.
Right.
Like, he is a very young prospect. He's not like Bo Nix. He's not like Penix. He's legit.
You want a Jordan Love, JJ McCarthy.
You could do that.
That's not bad.
So I've just basically talked myself into
get the asset, though. Get some assets back.
Or you don't need the assets if you're 11-2. You
can always get better.
No, I understand that. I mean, but I don't know if, again, saying, hey, the kid's coming off a knee injury, now you get him with 1 less year of contractual control. I don't know how enticing that would be to a team that's sitting at the top of the draft board. They'd rather go get their own kid, grow that own kid, have the full 5 years of contractual control rather than 3 + 1.
What about somebody like the Saints who's going to have one of those teen draft picks?
It's possible. I'm not saying that. I don't know if this is out of the realm.
Okay.
This is not out of the realm. But they must like McCarthy because he's a winner. And he's a guy who definitely can play like Darnold.
True. In
a system like this, with a coach like this.
I'm really happy for Sam.
And by the way, how about the result of Cousins walks? He doesn't just walk. He was 100% walking to the point where the Falcons get popped for tampering.
Right.
He comes back, and Darnold throws a 5-touchdown game.
Dude.
And Cousins departs with a 4-game losing streak in which he has 0 touchdowns and 8 interceptions over that 4-game span.
Oh, Rich,
I mean, you want to talk about the Vikings go ahead and make that decision, and this is the result for the homecoming in Week 14. It's as good as it gets for the Vikings.
Yeah, funny you should bring that up, too, in the last one before halftime. I said this last week. You said it was too soon. Now it's not too soon. The Falcons
can't go to Penix.
have to start Michael Penix this week
don't.
or risk not winning another game this season.
That's not true. That's crazy talk.
Kirk is the worst quarterback in the league right now.
He's not playing well, that is for sure. But neither are the entire teams. I'll bring to here what I'm assuming we'll talk about on the flagship show and what we texted about with each other. Although TJ never responds to texts over the weekend, which I will bring up on the flagship show. It's beginning to annoy me. Because I've got 3 kids and 2 jobs, and even I can respond to texts.
He's living his life.
Okay.
He's celebrating Soto.
It is beginning to annoy me. Yeah, well, that's really annoying me.
Yeah.
But Kirk Cousins' interceptions, his 4 interception game against the Chargers. Kurt Warner showed film on game day morning. 3 of those interceptions were not on him at all. They were on receivers that stopped their routes, that didn't run their routes, that didn't protect the quarterback, and were not on Cousins at all. And the fact that he didn't even twitch in the direction of, like, I can't throw it and catch it. He didn't go Giselle. You know what I mean? Like, I can't throw it and run the routes for the guys.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that he didn't twitch in that direction is leadership that the coaching staff can respect and the rest of the locker room knows about and can respect as well. Of course, when he came back to the desk, because he did one of those Kenny Smith walk and talks to do that, he came back to the desk and I'm like, where's the 4th one? Why don't you show the 4th one, Kurt? You know, because the 4th one was awful. That was the late one over the middle that cost them 3 points because he threw the interception in the end zone.
He said the pick 6 to the right was not his fault.
Absolutely not his fault. No.
Look, all due respect to Kurt, that was one of the worst throws I've ever seen.
It's because
and he was like 20 miles an hour. He has no zip on the ball.
Dude,
he can't drive.
It was 1,000,000% not on Kirk Cousins.
Dude.
I will show you the video.
No jury would ever agree with Kurt.
That's untrue.
No jury.
And I went into that segment going, because I heard about it the day before in our Zoom, our prep Zoom on Saturday, where Kurt said, I'm going to show these plays and the interceptions are not his fault. And I thought in my head, I can't wait to see what he says about the pick 6. And sure enough, he showed it, and he's not wrong.
That's one of the worst throws of the year.
It actually was one of the worst performances by a wide receiver.
Come on.
Dude, I'll show it to you when we're done.
And
everybody out there, whether you're watching on our YouTube channel, whether you're watching on our YouTube channel or you're listening to this pod, go seek it out. I am sure it's out there on YouTube, game day morning, whatever. Kurt Warner, 100%, or his QB Confidential, I'm sure on his YouTube channel, he's showing the same thing. That said, the 4th one, the one in the end zone, was terrible.
But
and yesterday's performance
he's got 8
as well.
picks in 2 games.
But you can't go to a raw rookie and deal with the raw rookie mistakes now. And they're inevitable. Even if he comes out of the box, Ben Roethlisberger, like at some point, there's no margin for error. And you're going to put the kid in now? This way, you're going to bench Kirk Cousins now?
It can't get any worse. It can't get any worse. Do you think Cousins is a starter next year, week 1?
That's another question. I don't know the answer to that one. That one is up in the air, I would say, based on the way things are finishing.
For his job next year, the rest of this season.
I wouldn't push back on that one either.
Okay. All right, we can agree.
But right now,
you got to do something, man.
Right now.
You're now not,
I don't have my schedule here in front of me.
You're not leading the division anymore, and you've lost 4 in a row. It can't get any worse.
But here you go. Okay, at Vegas, come on now. And Aiden O'Connell's not going to be playing. It's Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder, the guy they drafted. The guy they drafted and let walk
is going to beat them next week.
Stop it. And then you got the Giants. To beat them. There are some get-right games right in front of them. Right in front of them.
The Giants played Pucky. They should have won on Sunday.
And then there's the You Like That reunion game that as I told you, unless the Falcons totally poop the bed, that's going to be your Sunday night football game in week 17.
If the Falcons are coming off a 6-game losing streak, who wants to watch
that? That's why I think the league is holding off until if they beat the Raiders, that'll be a Sunday night game. Halftime. I'm playing Penix now, buddy.
Have to do it.
As many of you know, we love watching football live. Just being in SoFi Stadium. If anybody, we had half our crew was there.
Yeah.
Because they're Bills fans. There's nothing like it. What an intense scene. College football, playoff games around the corner. You want to go use Game Time tickets. Susie used it to take Zan to a particular concert in Vancouver, Canada over the weekend. It's great. The all-in pricing feature, you see your total up front, no surprise fees at checkout. And then you take that guesswork straight out of buying tickets when you use Game Time. It is awesome. Anywhere in the country, anywhere, even out of the country, as we learned in our family, you take that guesswork, you take that Game Time app, you take the account you created and use our code Overreaction, and you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. So visit GameTime.co for restrictions. Again, create an account, redeem the code OVERREACTION, $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Second half. Go for it, Christopher.
Second half, Rich. Look, this team I've been talking about for weeks and months, really, that they could be the best in the NFL. I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, Rich. Barely got by against Carolina yesterday.
By the way, they are not going to be anybody's homecoming the last 4 weeks of the season.
I'm going to have a take about them tomorrow, I think. Look, and this guy's the king of the 1 yard rushing touchdown. He's probably cost Saquon Barkley the MVP with the scores. Jalen Hurts' passing woes, though, Rich, is going to be the reason the Eagles don't make the Super Bowl. And if you don't believe me, why don't we ask his wide receiver?
Oh, sound.
What are some things you think that the offense needs to improve on? Passing.
AJ, I know everybody wants to get in a rhythm. And Devontae was acknowledging that, receivers, just like running backs, want to get in a rhythm. How hard is it as a receiver to get into a rhythm when you guys are only throwing the ball like 20 times?
Incredibly tough. It seemed like there was a moment on the sideline when you threw your helmet into the bench. What prompted that reaction?
3 and out.
As a leader on this offense, what's kind of your approach this week in changing the result in terms of everyone, not just you, a lot of the players on offense saying that this was just not up to the offensive standard?
Putting our head down and just going to work, doing the things we're doing and learning and growing.
What are the conversations like with Jalen during a game like this, where maybe the passing game isn't everything you want it to be?
Not too much conversation, honestly. I don't know.
That's a frustrated superstar right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. They'll deal with it in-house. And when push comes to shove, it's going to really be all about that NFC Championship game. We'll see. Or what's going to happen? They're the 2 seed, and what's going to end up happening? So
Washington comes in and
gets them. It's possible.
Vikings?
Jalen Hurts is passing woes. I mean, come on, man.
A.J. Brown's one of the best receivers in the NFL.
I know. This team hasn't lost since week 4.
They're
Come on.
barely getting by.
I haven't lost since week 4. Barely getting by. Dude, I saw that game.
Could have lost the last 2 weeks.
I saw that game on Sunday night against the Rams, and when Saquon wasn't running it down their throat, A.J. Brown was wide open, and there wasn't a single problem. 2 weeks ago. It's just as a frustrated receiver after a game, and again, that's what receivers do, is they demand the ball. They demand the football. Now, how about this one? How about let me flip it?
Are you worried about the Eagles at all?
Yeah, of course I'm worried about the Eagles. When I hear that, of course you get worried about it. Of course you get worried about that.
Okay, you're worried.
Because he needs to swallow that, man. He needs to swallow that. Let him bark all he wants on the sidelines. Let him do all of that stuff. If they can handle it. If they can handle that, if this is the Philadelphia way of just like, the Bronx Zoo, like they can win with all sorts of craziness happening in their locker room or on the sideline, or that's the only way, that's their, their ambient noise that they need to actually be successful. I don't know if that's the case or not. We don't know. We have no idea what went in the locker room last year at all. And we thought that this win streak was wiping it out. Well, I'll just say again, when it comes to it, like he was giving one-word answers, I would prefer him just be there and smiling and go, how many wins have we got in a row? And he says his own thing behind the scenes,
maybe, yeah.
But you don't air your laundry so WIP could talk about it for the rest of the week. It's only going to create more problems for you.
Philly sports radio is going to be nuts.
That's what I'm saying.
Even though they won
9 games in a row, by the way. Just one behind the Lions. All they needed to do is have the Lions slip up. which is possible.
You going to flip it on me? What were you going to say?
Oh, well, flip it on you is that I'd say my concern is A.J. Brown can't handle not getting the football.
Oh, interesting.
In a win might cost them the Super Bowl.
Interesting.
Not Jalen Hurts' passing woes. This is your quarterback, by the way. This just in, A.J. Brown. This is your quarterback as long as you're in Philadelphia. The contract says he's your quarterback, and the setup says he's your quarterback. You want to go back to Tannehill? Be my guest.
Come to New England.
Oh, great. Sure. And then it'll take him a while to get to this point. You think the Patriots are going to be 11-2 right around the corner, Chris?
Maybe not.
Come on now.
Maybe in 2 years.
What, Ramondre Stevenson's going to turn into Saquon? Is that what's going to happen? That line's going to turn into the Eagles line? Yes. Sometimes you just got to look around and realize what you got.
Yeah. All right. Interesting.
My opinion on hearing that. Because, again, I'll be straight up with you. And I'm straight up with you.
That's concerning, man.
I am straight up with the audience right here and right now.
That is concerning.
Due to everything. Due to me watching tons of football yesterday. Due to Taylor had a playoff basketball game yesterday.
Nice. How'd you do?
I was Uber driver a little bit yesterday for a brief bit. With all of that, that's the first time I heard the soundbite. Because as you know, I'm off Twitter too.
Right. Just
for my own mental health. You know, I got back on it once and I saw somebody's response to me is that I'm a self-loathing, you know what.
Nice.
So I don't need the Nazi stuff. So I'm off of Twitter right now. And that said, I have not heard that at all until now. This is my fresh reaction to it. Obviously, we're going to talk about it on the flagship show.
Yeah. Passing is the biggest problem.
Okay. What else?
Let's talk about the Rams, Rich. If they can get in the playoffs, the Rams are the biggest challenge to the Lions to win the NFC.
I do not push back on this at all. I was coming into work today on the 405 thinking this very thing is that isn't it amazing that the Lions are doing what they are doing? And it sure looks like they might face in the first round of their playoffs, divisional round, they might face either the Rams or the Bucks again. That it is entirely possible right now that they could be coming off the bye and an NFC South winning Bucks or NFC West winning Rams would be the team to come off of their home super wild card weekend win and be the team that they see in Ford Field. It's entirely possible.
Rams are shaping up to be the team you
case.
Do not want to see in the playoffs.
Or it could be a third time around for them. You don't want to have one of them either. You don't. You don't want to have a division opponent for a third time. That's not what you choose. But you're not wrong. Their defense, though, is definitely suspect.
But
their pass rush is excellent.
Yes.
If the pass rush doesn't get home, the question is what happens on the second and third levels.
But when they're clicking, they can win a shootout.
If they can protect Stafford,
they can win a shootout.
Stafford is as good as ever, and those wide receivers. I'll give you this one stat. I printed it out, figuring we'd talk about it.
Puka might be the best receiver in the NFL.
Bro, that one that he made, the throw that I forget who he caught it over. Stafford threw it over the head of one Bills defender, and Puka's back was to the football. He grabbed it over his shoulder.
And toe-tapped.
In the air and toe-tapped and held onto it to the ground. That was one of the most amazing catches. There it is.
Look at that photo.
Right there. That was stupid.
That was unbelievable.
Amazing.
And in real time, it didn't look like he got it. And then Brady was like, I think he caught that.
12 catches, 162 yards, a receiving touchdown, and he ran one in as well.
Beast.
He is the first player in NFL history to have a single game with 12 or more catches, 150 or more receiving yards, and a score in the air and on the ground. Ever. No one's ever had a receiving game like Puka Nacua did in SoFi Stadium against the Bills.
Man, I love that dude.
In Week 14 of the 2024 season. So, that's not an overreaction, what you just said.
Rams can do it.
But I'd throw in the Bucks in there, too.
Bucky Irving dinged up a little bit. That hurts.
The Bucks are the only team to have beaten the Lions this year. So.
I get it. That was a long time ago.
Who would be unafraid to walk into that building?
What was that, week 2, week 3?
Correct, week 2.
Yeah. Long time ago.
What else?
All right, Rich. Let's wrap this up a little bit. Let's talk college football.
Sure.
College football playoff
Awesome.
is set. The field is set. It's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
Let's go. Texas needs to start Arch Manning if they want to win the Natty.
Oh, baby. Oh, not start him, but play him more. How does that sound? Play him more. Two quarterbacks, you have none? Get out of here. No.
Got to start Arch.
Arch to start.
Ewers can't win a big game.
Arch to start. Welcome Arizona State to the college football playoffs
Let's go.
and
Here we
the
go.
Southeastern Conference.
Here's a Manning.
Austin, Texas. That's Matthew McConaughey. That's Bevo. That's Arch Manning.
There's a Manning.
That's what you want.
Good luck.
Anyone who would do it would be Sark, wouldn't you think? They're not going to do it.
I don't know, man.
Just get it. Just like that's the way you start Arch Manning.
You got to do it.
That's the way you tell Ewers not today,
Are you serious
not anymore.
or are you not? Look, Nick Saban
You
benched
serious or not?
Jalen Hurts for Tua in a playoff game.
It was
At
just
halftime.
I know it's in a but it was a single day. It's not like okay.
Arch has proven he can do it. He's out there. He can play. He can ball.
That would be sick.
Team response to
That
him.
would be sick. What a way for that Manning career to be born.
Right? And then they go on a run, wins the Natty, boom, Arch.
What do I say to this? Oh my God. He is better than yours, right?
I think
You do think so?
I think he is.
I don't know.
And
Yours isn't moving around
and
well.
I like Quinn. He's not moving around. It seems like he's a little bit banged up. That pick at the end was bad throw.
The thing about Arch Manning that is most jarring to me is how physical and fast
he is.
He is.
Yeah.
That they're using him as like a change of pace
kind of situation.
Weapon. Right. They're using him as a change of pace. Well, when he's in the game, he's going to run it.
Right.
Weapon. Like that's what they're using him as right now. I think it's to their benefit to let him play a little bit more. But to start him and say, no, Ewers, only Arch.
Let's go for it.
I don't know, man.
Do you want to win or not?
And I would sit here and say it's tough to recruit that way, but once you start him, you're starting him for the next 2+ years.
Ewers is going to the pros anyway. This is it for him.
I know that's kind of tough to do that to that kid. That's really cold-hearted. That's beyond cold-hearted. That's really cold-hearted. Because I mean, this game was essentially won.
It's about winning,
or at least
it's about
this SEC championship game.
It's about winning. It's about winning, Rich.
I'm very well aware of that.
Play Arch.
Arch did take the first snap of overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, that was where did he come from?
Yeah, exactly.
I know there's overtime.
Wait, is Arch in the game?
It's overtime.
What is happening?
They get the ball first, and the first snap is taken by Arch Manning. I know. Yeah, I'll call this an overreaction.
All right, last one.
Oh, you got another one?
Yeah, last one.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
last one.
All right.
We're going to talk a little baseball real quick.
Oh, God.
The news broke last night, Rich. Juan Soto for $1 bajillion, right?
Come on, man.
Here's the deal. You and me, this is you and me. We should be glad our teams didn't sign Juan Soto.
I am going to say to you.
We should be happy right now.
I'm going to say to you.
Happy.
Right now, this is 100% an overreaction. 100%.
No, we should be glad.
No, this is a stage of grief. What you're doing right now.
No, it's not. No,
it's a stage of grief and a total overreaction. Like, oh, God.
We should be glad.
It's not our money, Chris.
Yeah, but it affects everything else.
Maybe for you and your team that just decided not to spend anymore out of the blue.
Else.
Like they just stopped acting like a large market team for 2 years, 3 years. For the Yankees, it's just like they got a bottomless pit of money. Are you kidding me? You kidding me? The Yankees, I don't even think are the most revenue-generating piece of business the Steinbrenner family's in. If I had to guess. Not that I've opened their books. It's not my money.
We should be glad. We should be happy. You could sign like 4 other dudes for $800 million.
That's the approach I'm taking. That's the approach that you are taking. So we're lockstep in this. Yeah. But to sit here and say we should be happy about this?
Sorry, folks.
Nah.
Both of our teams will win World Series before Juan Soto.
Oh, my God. Now, that's a hot take. Let's hope that's the case.
He's going to the Mets.
Oh, my God.
What are you talking about?
That.
2 World Series ever? Like, shut up.
I know that.
Suddenly you're with us now?
I know.
Get out of here.
I know. Sweet David Wright. Like, he's their their best guy over the last few years, which is why they're out of their minds that Lindor, who's now balling out.
Lindor's really good. He
and
should,
Soto are going to be hitting back-to-back. Who's going to pitch? Who's going to do all that? Clay Holmes is going to pitch.
That's
the one thing, too.
Polar bear coming back?
Soto's going to be standing in right field after butchering a ball on the warning
He's
track.
going to hear it.
You know, it's going to be second and third, and Clay Holmes is going to walk in 2 runs after loading the bases, and he'll just be there. I could have escaped this and stayed in the Bronx.
See what I mean? We should be happy.
I understand what you're saying, but
right, thank you.
Omaha Steaks, right now, the promo code of Eisen. With that, you get an extra $30 off after you can save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Guaranteed perfection in every bite right now. Legendary steaks, mouth-watering desserts, and more. 5 generations of experience. They consistently delivered the world's best steak experience, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks, again, have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages featuring gourmet favorites. Box comes to our house, and it is an absolute parade.
So good.
Right to the grill.
So good.
For a limited time at omahasteaks.com, our listeners can get 50% off site-wide for a limited time. And then an extra $30 off with the promo code of Eisen. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with the promo code of Eisen. Minimum purchase may apply. All right, so now we're going to look back.
Real quickly, let's check our
10
work.
weeks ago.
Check our work. So
this is a week 4 edition of Overreaction
Post
Monday?
week 4, end of September, post week 4. Check our work.
Best take was?
Best take was, well, the best take was the Jets are not going to make the playoffs this year. That was the best
And
take.
that was after they lost to the Denver Broncos.
That was after.
At home.
Yep.
Hardly scored, hardly got a first down, hardly did anything.
No.
Little did we know, Chris Brockman, when we recorded on that Monday,
Yep.
that Woody Johnson had convened or was convening perhaps as we were doing this recording.
Yep.
Everybody in the organization to bitch them out.
All hands on deck.
Air them out. And apparently jokingly say,
Truth
maybe
behind every
we should
joke.
bench Aaron Rodgers for Tyrod Taylor as we head to London to take on Sam Darnold and the Vikings.
Yeah.
Little did we know. That was happening on the day you
When we were
offered
recording.
that take on Overreaction Monday.
How about us?
What was my reaction?
I don't know. I think you probably said, "Oh, come on." I don't know.
I don't think I sounded like that. What else?
Worst take.
Worst
take was kind of rough. Now, the only way Russell Wilson plays this year if it's for another team,
dude.
What was Fields after?
Fields was
was he 3-1?
Yeah. And then he wound up being 4-2.
Right.
Russ has now started 7. He's 6-1.
Yeah. Russ has been great.
Yeah.
Good for Russ.
Yep. He's now 6-1. His only loss in the snow to the Cleveland Browns.
He made up for that on Sunday.
I mean, that's way off. But we didn't see.
No, Fields was balling.
At the time we were sitting here thinking that there's no way he can go away from the young kid. You got to see what you have in the ceiling and deal with whatever ups and downs you're going to get.
Right.
We thought he was full of it every single time. He's like, well, I'm not talking about Russ until he's healthy. We thought that he was using that as a fig leaf. Not at all, sir.
Man.
Can't get them all right, Chris.
No.
That said, great Overreaction Monday.
Good
Lots
stuff.
of fun. Susie Schuster, Amy Trask on What the Football with Andrew Whitworth. Big Whit. To talk about the 45-42 highest scoring game that we have seen all year long. And the interesting fact is it's the last time that the Rams gave up 40 and won was the game that Whit played in. And that Monday night at Jared Goff Chiefs.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. And it's the first time the Bills have ever scored 40 and lost in the history of their franchise.
Dang. That game was awesome.
Andrew Whitworth will talk about it. That's on What the Football on Tuesday. For Chris, I'm Rich. That's Overreaction Monday. Peace out. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.